there is a leadership that the world needs now. There are people doing it, and really it's all about dumb perseverance and intention. You know, just a basic willingness to step into a space that feels like it needs leadership and to keep doing it however you know how.
We were thinking of the village square as a metaphor for how we would invite people in to solve a problem that concerned the whole village, and then all the participants of the village who has a stake in the village would come, listen, and then together solve it. But each one would need to be coming for a purpose, and that purpose was then stated in the beginning.
How can we help communities come to a common space where they can look at their past, discover what's worthwhile about it, integrate that with the present, which is completely unknown to them, as well as integrate it with the future that is equally unknown to them. And that's the question we came with.
The main thing was we need to ask ourselves the right questions so that we can get the right answers. And I think for us, some of the things we have been thinking about, we were quite hesitant. We were sort of caught in a situation where we viewed ourselves as victims rather than people who know, who hold the knowledge and the wisdom.
The Global Village clearly has at least two groups of people that I think it serves a tremendous need. First, there are programs like ours who are in either early stages or in struggling or feeling a little stuck or isolated, and bringing more than one member of that program into this kind of environment in which there is very ready sharing of idea and expertise is extremely valuable. The other group that I think this is ideally suited for is for the people who are saying to themselves, you know, I'm at a stage in my life where I want to do something more, but I'm not really sure what that is or what kind of form it would take. They come to this kind of setting and they're going to get an entire smorgasbord of opportunities to look at. And more important than that, when they see one they like, they can actually sit down with somebody who's really there and find out what's really going on and how they might fit in. And I've just watched all kinds of people move to a whole new stage in their own development, in their own response to that inside felt need to be of service.
It is amazing that the Global Village, it shapes up the idea that we are a global village, coming from different continents, having different social and political backgrounds, from different nationalities, and here we are interacting in a masterpiece of mosaic, if you'd like to say, relating to each other, learning, having our awareness and full-mindedness. And it was, in a way or another, a celebration of differences on different levels, including the intergenerational.
The Global Village Square purpose essentially was to bring actual groups who were working on the edge, working in new ways to bring leadership into the world, so that they could learn from each other and from other participants, as well as to bring those stories into the Institute in a powerful way, which seemed very useful.
There were a lot of opportunities to talk with other conference participants around issues of leadership and you know, how a leader should lead and from where that inspiration should come. For us as a project group that was sort of sharing our work experience, it was a very worthwhile opportunity to really take a microscope onto our work.
There were a lot of aha moments to us. Yeah.
The atmosphere allowed us to be fragile and to be vulnerable, to talk about the pain, the fear, the complexity of difficulties.
First, it was a marvelous opportunity that we didn't even think about ahead of time. It's the first time we've ever had a few days by ourselves without cell phones ringing and without worrying about our own individual security, where we could sit down and really do some dreaming and some connecting with each other. So that was the first benefit. But the real benefit was sitting there with all of these other individuals who either themselves were out doing, in most cases, new programs, taking on new challenges, or other people who were ready to take on new challenges, who were attracted to the Global Village and frankly couldn't wait to talk to several of us from our program and from the other programs. So what then happened is, as we started frankly being somewhat surprised at how much energy and how much interest there was, and listening to what people had to offer. There was a lot of curiosity first. What are you doing? How did you get there? How's it working? But very quickly, people were ready to offer their experience and their expertise.
We were sort of advised by the people at Global Village Square to say, the anger is great, but turn that into some positive energy to fuel up the marathon that you're running now, to sustain it.
The international community in this conflict became large with this gathering here in Halifax.
All the North American countries and the European countries are called rich, so I had this totally different idea that it's going to be all posh here, but the people are going to be all hip and putting on makeup I mean, it's a totally different idea when you actually come here and the stories you hear about people. So I think that made a lot of difference in my life, that well, there is diversity in the world, but there's also a kind of unity that bonds each one of us.
We had the opportunity in the Global Village Square to, one, meet together and begin a conversation about how to move this forward. And then the rotation of people through just added and added and added and created an entire mind shift for us.
That experience has recharged the batteries to go back, and especially when you feel that you are not alone. You are part of this group which has a different rhythm and it has a different mandate.
This is a first for me. It has been a dream come true for me. I've been longing for kind of like a virtual network of this kind of work that we're doing, because I almost feel like, you know, what difference is going to make if it's just this project, you know, this little one in South Africa. But I came to realize that there are so many, and I think this was, you know, that was really a dream come true for me, because there are all these networks that have been established over 22 countries with similar projects, but the cause and the purpose is the same. Yeah.
I was forced to look at myself and to think about how I do things and how I make choices. And that's all very important and a connected part of the work that I do. So I feel like I gained a lot more out of this experience than what I expected. And certainly a lot of the relationships that were made here will be useful to us as we continue to do the work that we do.
Our last piece with the teams was to ask the teams, what are your next steps? Now that we've explored these, what's working and what's challenging, where are you going to take this? How are you going to take this further? And there were some very powerful results that came out of that. And then we asked individuals to follow that same reflective process. And after hearing these stories and contributing in these ways to this powerful work that's happening in the world, we asked people what were their next steps and how were they going to take this work further.
We're very excited. There have been several levels of things come out of this. One, we've created a plan, a design for another level of art of hosting training with both the 36 people, but then moving those 36 people into creating a village square in Columbus, where people who have been benefited from the training will actually be part of the people that will host the village square, where problems and issues will come in teams to that village square and in essence replicate at a local level what we experienced here on an international level.
Probably our biggest surprise, or the one that stood out most brightly for us, was the energy and the interest so many people had in saying, we literally want to come over and see what you're doing. We want to be there, and we want to find out if we can be of service.
We're just grateful. We're grateful to the Institute. We're grateful to the opportunity to have been part of the Village Square. We really think that as a result of the experience that we had in the Village Square, that the possibility for significant change, not only in our community but elsewhere in a much broader sense, is not only quite conceivable but quite possible.
Anybody who is truly trying to understand for oneself, where do I fit in this huge world? I think they should come to the Global Village Square. That answer is very, very clear when you're sitting there.